Before we get started, I want to thank Verve for sponsoring this video. You can help support my channel and get a 30-day free trial of Verve Premium by clicking the link in the description below. Verve has tons of incredible channels on offer: Rooster Teeth, Shudder, Mondo, Cartoon Hangover, Crunchyroll, and Funimation with subbed and dubbed content and more. If you're looking for some more adult comedy, they just launched a show called Gary and His Demons. Myself, I'm still all about Bravest Warriors. Season 4, woo! Verve Premium gives you every channel ad-free, offline viewing on your smart device, and exclusive shows like Harmon Quest and Last Man. Remember, link down in the description. For a limited time, you can click that for a 30-day free trial of Verve Premium. Check it out, then shoot me your recommendations for what I should be watching. Leading up to Nintendo's E3 2018 Direct, I saw a lot of Nintendo fans making one very large mistake. It's a mistake I've seen made countless times over the years, and in fact, I've made it a number of times myself. That mistake is expecting things from Nintendo. Now, before we move forward, let me clarify. I'm not saying that it's a mistake to think that Nintendo will deliver the goods in some capacity at some point in time. Overall, they've been doing pretty great with the Switch, obviously. I don't mean that you can't ever expect anything from Nintendo. I mean that you can't ever expect anything from Nintendo. like you can't really go into any presentation thinking you have a good idea of what it will look like or how many big games they'll announce. I know reactions to Nintendo's E3 2018 Direct have been mixed. There are plenty of very vocal people who believe that it was fine, and that anyone who thinks otherwise is being unreasonable with their expectations. I totally respect that opinion, and to those people, I'm gonna sound like a broken record in this video because I've gone over a lot of this already. But this video isn't for those people. This video is for the people that went into that Direct thinking that there would be more, thinking for various reasons that there had to be more. Because despite what a lot of people think, I maintain that that was a reasonable expectation. 2017 set the bar really, really high for Nintendo. Not only was there a steady stream of big new releases complemented by a few Wii U ports, but both the January Switch presentation and E3 saw the reveals and announcements of a ton of new titles. It was as good a year as a Nintendo fan could possibly ask for. Better even. And even if it seemed unlikely that 2018 would quite keep the same sort of pace for big releases, it was not weird to think that it might come at least kinda close. Thing is, now that the year is half over and all the major titles have been revealed, we see that that's not the case. I won't bore you by going over each month and title again, I've talked about all that to death, but suffice it to say, it's pretty light. The first half of the year was mostly ports without any major tentpole titles to hold everything up. Despite the strong fan bases of Kirby and Mario Tennis, in terms of sales numbers, these are small fries. Smash is coming in December, and that's huge. I will never downplay the value of Smash. That's a big tentpole for sure. Then Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are coming in November, and technically these could end up being a huge deal. I mean, it is Pokemon, but I'm reserving judgment until they release. They're gonna pull in some new people, but they're also gonna isolate a lot of the core crowd with their more simplistic gameplay, which might have a big effect on sales. And from my own admittedly limited perspective, the hype for those games is nowhere near Smash levels, or even Mario or Zelda or Splatoon levels. Next year's titles will be a huge deal for sure, but these ones don't make 2018 feel much less light. Overall, the year just pales in comparison to last year. Hey, still not a terrible year by any stretch, especially compared to some past years, but probably a lot less impressive than many of us expected. Again, it's not weird to feel like this scenario was unlikely to happen. When you apply logic to the situation, you think, Nintendo won't let their momentum stop now. They want to do everything possible to keep things moving. They have to keep blasting our socks off in the Switch's second year, even if it's to a somewhat lesser degree. And yeah, that's logical. Those are perfectly logical assumptions to make. But with Nintendo, logical assumptions just don't work. Logic doesn't work. And I'm not trying to bash Nintendo here. Yeah, I'm disappointed, but I'll get over it and we'll get past it, and eventually they'll reveal and release a whole load of new amazing stuff. I'm not worried about that at all. I liked the idea of the entirety of the Switch's life being perfect and amazing with constant releases, but I knew that wasn't exactly realistic, so I'm not crushed now that that's clearly not a reality. I'm really just saying that with Nintendo, using logic and making assumptions doesn't work, and in fact, it's never worked. And it's important to remember that Nintendo's complete immunity to logic and expectations often works very strongly in their favor. It's a curse and a blessing. They're the industry's wild card, and sometimes it pays off big time. It's just something you've got to know and constantly remember about them. Going into the E3 2018 Direct, expectations were naturally quite high, mostly because of that pretty light second half of the year, and this was Nintendo's last chance to announce something for the late summer and fall months. And then, just because it's E3, we expected at least 1 or 2 announcements for beyond 2018. If E3 2017 could give us 4, isn't it reasonable to believe that E3 2018 could give us 1 or 2? Like seriously, don't buy it when people tell you that expecting at least one single big announcement for beyond 2018 to give the show some extra oomph is unreasonable. I mean, they're technically right, but they're right for the wrong reason. The only reason it's wrong to expect what's reasonable is specifically because we're talking about Nintendo, and doing what's expected is not their thing. They work on their own wavelength. Everything they do is based on their own kinda different, kinda alien sorta logic. Because of this, I wasn't expecting much from the Direct personally. This was one of those rare times when we got pretty much exactly what I expected. My one teeny tiny victory over the normally infallible left field theory. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I'm not this genius Nintendo expert who sits back and laughs at all the sad, stupid little peasants who don't really know Nintendo like I do. I personally know a lot of people who are keeping their expectations in check, just like I was. And I think it all might just come down to how long you've been following E3 and Nintendo's history of announcements. It's only natural to want to think about what Nintendo might do rationally, but when you've been watching them for 10 plus years like I have, you start to notice that those kinds of thoughts just don't work. Like I said at the start of the video, I know reception to the Direct was very mixed, and there are plenty of people who were happy with it. I already talked about it in another video, and once again, this video is not really aimed at those people, but very quickly, I will address the question, how can you be unhappy with a Nintendo Direct that covers Smash and Mario Party and Fire Emblem and Xenoblade 2, which are all first-party titles? My answer is, it's E3. And at E3, people expect surprises. E3 isn't just about the info. We can get info in other ways. It's also about the show, the excitement. The Direct had a small handful of nice surprises, but nothing really big, and most of the stuff it showed off was stuff we already knew about. Fine games, I'm sure, especially Smash, obviously, but nothing really big to either help fill out quarter 3 and 4, or get us even more excited for 2019. Nothing that jumped out and slapped us in the face and made us go, whoa! And as I mentioned in my highs and lows video, Nintendo's investors seem to agree because the company's stock took a notable dip after the presentation. Now, I am most certainly not going to suggest that E3 2018 was as bad as E3 2008, or that Nintendo is doomed now, or anything like that. That's way too extreme. Lots of good stuff coming in the future. But please bear with me when I say that the two events are eerily similar. In both cases, it was the second E3 since the launch of an exciting, hotcake-selling new console, so expectations were naturally high. The general consensus was, momentum is really moving now, so Nintendo has to have a lot of stuff to show us. They have to have at least a few big core titles to reveal. And in both cases, Nintendo just went, no we don't. We don't have to do anything. And we've seen this time and time again. We've gone into presentations, whether E3 presentations or Nintendo Directs, thinking such and such has to happen. They have to reveal such and such game. We have to get more info on such and such. But if there's ever been a time to really, truly understand how absolutely nothing is a given with Nintendo, it's now. After that E3 Direct, we are now facing the reality that 2018 was to be dominated by smaller titles and ports. Going in, people were thinking, surely Fire Emblem will release somewhere in the second half, maybe the fall. Nope. Oh, well, we saw Yoshi last year and haven't heard anything since. Surely it's coming before the end of the year. Or, at the very least, we'll see some more footage and get a title or something. Nope. Nope on both fronts. Complete no-show. Okay, no Fire Emblem or Yoshi. That's really disappointing because those would have really helped fill out the year, but surely we'll get something else. Some other game between now and the holidays, a whole half year away. Like Mario Party? Does that do it for you? Because that's it. Nintendo had exactly one new first-party legacy franchise surprise reveal for us this year, and it was Mario Party. Fine. The rest of this year is a bit of a bust. Not terrible, but not nearly as good as we were hoping. But surely, we'll get something new announced for next year or beyond. Some little taste of anything to look forward to and make this Direct at least a little bigger than just a run-of-the-mill Direct. Animal Crossing, Star Fox, Pikmin, F-Zero, anything. Sorry. These were all reasonable expectations, but using reason with Nintendo is the thing that's not reasonable. This time last year, a scenario like this one seemed really unlikely. I mean, at the very leastest of leasts, more info on Yoshi, right? We're not talking about Breath of the Stinkin' Wild here. I would have bet money that we'd get at least something on that one. But here we are. This is by no means a massive problem, and if anything, I'm just trying to point out the humorous side of it. Again, it's a little disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. They do like 4 Nintendo Directs a year, and during any given one, they could announce your dream game. Next E3 or the one after, they could come at us with another 10 mind-blowing games and just dominate the whole show. Next year, we'll get our big new Pokemon, and at some point, we'll get Metroid Prime 4, and someday they'll announce Animal Crossing and the next Zelda and Mario games. But in the meantime, let this be a lesson. Let this be something that we can all take to heart. Nothing is ever a given with Nintendo. You can't ever straight up expect anything that's not explicitly spelled out by Nintendo themselves. This year, Nintendo promised us Smash Bros, and oh boy did they deliver on that front. The Smash showing was so darn fan-pleasing that I'm not seeing nearly as much backlash to this Direct as I expected. But beyond Smash, they didn't really have anything, and they didn't promise anything. So while I'm disappointed, really I'm not surprised. And you shouldn't be either. They're the kings of left field after all. And despite making a lot of changes in the Switch era, that's one title it doesn't look like they're giving up anytime soon. I mean, we didn't even get that Star Fox racing game. Even I fell into the trap of thinking it was guaranteed to appear. But nope, if it's real, Nintendo's still not ready to show it off yet. It's a hard lesson to learn, my friends, but if you haven't learned it yet, believe me when I say that it makes things a lot easier. Years like this are much easier to take, and pleasant surprises out of nowhere are all the more delightful. All you've got to do is expect absolutely nothing. Ever. Not even Pikmin 4. Nah, we'll see it in the Fall Direct, I'm sure of it.